TJ, my brother was in New York City the weekend before last, announcing the Triple G fight, or last weekend, excuse me. And when he was there, Conor McGregor on the Friday night before the Triple G fight came in during the young boxer Conlon out of Ireland that came in, and Conor was with him. And when they were in the ring together, my brother said hi to him, and Conor, of course, said hi, and Michael said it was great to meet him. And then he said, one of the first things out of his mouth is, I hope that you and Bruce are in the ring announcing me the night I fight Floyd Mayweather. So
right.
I really believe the fight's going to happen. We talk about this all the time. Current status, just a matter of when, sign the paper, make it happen. I believe it's going to happen.
No, they're going to box.
Box.
They're not going to fight.
Box.
They're going to box.
Box.
If
yes.
they were to fight, they'd be able to use all aspects of fighting.
Right, such as the mixed martial arts. Am I correct
right.
in that?
Yes, that would be a fight. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure that it's an agreement to stand in front of one another
and box
with gigantic gloves on and only punch.
Marcus of Queensbury rules. All respect to boxing.
Sure.
I love boxing. I grew up on boxing. Apples and oranges.
Right.
MMA boxing.
Yeah, I mean, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that Floyd Mayweather
no, I know what you're doing.
Isn't a quote-unquote fighter or anything like that. But, again, we're not going to find out who the better fighter is that night. We're going to find out who the better boxer is. And I hate to say it, I already know who the better boxer is.
Yeah, I do too, but you know what? I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not a betting man on fights, but on this fight, only if I'm not announcing it, if that's the way it works out, I will probably put down something, and I suggest anybody that bets out there, how can you not put down an 11-1 odds on McGregor?
Stranger things have happened, no?
He's just got to connect to his head.
Yeah.
McGregor knocks people's heads off.
No.
If he connects to Floyd's head, Floyd's not going to knock out McGregor. I'll tell you that. That's not going to happen. I don't see Floyd knocking out.
You're crazy.
You think he would end this fight in a knockout? You really do?
Yes. Why does Floyd Mayweather not knock people out? Because he's not aggressive, right?
No, he's not a power puncher.
No, okay.
He's a puncher. He's a punching in bunches puncher.
You have to realize that combat sports largely is a game of tactics. Are you willing to agree to that?
Oh, of course I'll agree.
Okay. So in a boxing match that is 12 rounds, scored the same way essentially that MMA is in a 10-point must system. Obviously, the criteria is different. You need to win majority of the rounds, or at least 10-8, etc.
But we're talking about knocking out.
But stop. I'm going to get there.
I'm waiting.
It's a long roundabout way, but you'll understand. I've got to set it up.
Okay.
You need to win the game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of times in the octagon that people say, okay, yeah, quote unquote, this guy won the fight, but that's because he played the game. He won 2 rounds. But if that was on the playground, so-and-so won the fight because look at this round, it was more dominant, blah, 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 which is why we see this emphasis on 10-8s lately in mixed martial arts, okay? Now, with all of that in mind, Floyd does what he needs to do against boxers to win the game, okay? He wins the game. He takes decisions. He does enough. Now, a lot of people were very upset about how Tyron Woodley fought Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Why don't you just do that in the first round? Why don't you just, nearly stop him in the first round? It's a game of tactics. You do what you need to do, which is the path of least resistance.
I agree.
Now, Floyd goes through the path of least resistance with his fighters, with his boxers. And by doing that, he wins the game, thus winning the fight, thus making more money, ensuring his future as Money Mayweather. In a fight, quote-unquote, or boxing match with Conor McGregor, he is going to be able to do largely whatever he wants to. So he could turn up the volume. He could turn up the pressure. He may not be as conservative. He may not just look to win the game. Now, you say all Conor needs to do is hit him one time and we'll see what happens.
Not necessarily one time.
Well, okay,
but gets in there.
But connect, right?
Yeah.
Connect to the face. Now, with that said, has Conor ever had one-hit quit power in the UFC with his hands?
Yes.
Who?
Jose Aldo.
Okay, that is true. And you know what? I hate to say this, not to take away.
We are talking about. Go ahead.
No, sure, not to take away anything from Jose Aldo, but it was just so fast. I wish he would have done. No. I wish he would have done that after.
Phantom punch, Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston. Come on, it's just,
not a phantom punch, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But here's the thing. Okay, so Conor has showed the ability to knock somebody out with one punch, one time in his career.
How about knocking?
Hang on, let me finish.
Go ahead.
How big are those gloves? 4 ounces.
No.
They're not? UFC gloves
Oh,
are not 4
UFC
ounces?
gloves.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's add a bunch of
I
padding.
know it's a boxing glove.
Let's add a bunch of padding and see what happens. Does he have that same power? Well, no. He doesn't.
All right, so
and also, it's a lot harder to land that punch, too.
I got it. So let's just step back. Let me talk now. So I'm with you.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's your dissertation. I understand what you're saying. So this is, again, there's no argument here. It's just that I simply am saying I don't see. Now, granted, Floyd Mayweather did knock down the most popular Irish boxer to come out of Ireland in our generation recently, which is Ricky Hatton.
Mm-hmm.
And he did knock Ricky Hatton, if I'm not mistaken, in the third round or so of that fight. So the accumulation of punches and then the combination he hit Ricky with, an extremely tough individual boxer. He knocked him down, he knocked him out. So Floyd is completely capable of knockouts, as we know. I'm just saying my prediction, and again we'll see it when the proof is in the pudding, is that I think Conor has a chance to win the fight.
He does.
I think on paper it's all Mayweather. Logistically, like you've talked about, I think that Conor knocks people's heads off with the power that he has. I think he's a longer, stronger, more powerful fighter who is going to come in at the same weight as Floyd on this given night or on the weigh-ins.
Will they? Do you know what the difference will be? Like,
I have no idea about anything until we have an idea about something.
Well, let me ask you this. When it comes to boxing, obviously in MMA, you have some wrestlers that cut weight, and they'll cut 6, 7, 8, 9 pounds, and then so they weigh in at 45, and then they're closer to 55, if not 60, when they fight. For boxers, do they get that big, or are they only cutting 3 or 4 pounds?
Oh, I've seen boxers gain the same amounts of weights we see MMA fighters gain.
Okay, so
a weight cut
is
a
similar.
weight cut. It's extremely similar.
Got it.
You go back to the Arturo Gotti and the Ward fights. Look at Gotti on the next night after he had weighed in, which is around the similar weight that they will weigh in at. So, yeah, of course, it's a weight cut. So, anyway, all I'm saying before we go on to our next story here is that can't wait to see it happen. Hope I get the chance to announce. It would be incredible to announce it with my brother if that worked out. But, again, there's so many powers that be and cooks in the kitchen. Let's just hope for a night that we can all be entertained, whether I'm there or not personally. But, again, I would definitely, if I wasn't announcing the fight and I wanted to have a little fun, a little shite and giggles, then I'm putting some money on the odds app, with McGregor. I'm not going to bet on Mayweather to win $25
no, exactly.
to my $200 bet.
I mean, here's my thing about that, too. You make your bread and your cheddar with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I don't do it directly, but that's where my bread is buttered, essentially. Anybody involved in MMA, thank you for the bread that the UFC butters. Exactly. Now, with all of that said, I don't think that I'm breaking news by saying I'm an MMA guy, but I would love it if Conor McGregor knocked out Floyd. And if Conor McGregor were able to be the winner on that night and to do it in devastating fashion, let's be honest, this guy does everything he's going to say. He just has since he showed up. He walks the walk and talks the talk. He's only and what's the most amazing thing about Conor is when he did sort of get embarrassing against Nate Diaz, he came out just as strong. He didn't really take a step back at all. And again, like, no offense to Ronda Rousey, but you look at the fall from graces for both of those fighters, Conor's still on top of the world. And Ronda, I mean, I hope she's doing okay. I have no idea. I think from what things I've seen recently in the social media aspect, I hope that's the case. I'm sure Ronda's, sure. She's a tough individual on so many levels, amazing competitor. They're different strokes for different folks. People handle things in different ways. Conor is a golden fleece of an it factor of marketing, publicity, and practitioner of what he does. It's I can't say enough. Maybe I'm not crazy about all the bling-bling talk that he does. You know how I get That's our modern society, though.
That's modern society. I get personally turned off by it, but I feel that I know Conor to a point, like him enough, and respect him enough in the friendship meetings that we've had over the years that I understand Conor. So he is a scientific practitioner of marketing. He says intelligent things. He backs up what he says. He goes over the limit and rides high, to push the envelope as much as he can. Sure, I'm not crazy about the bling-bling, but you know what? I also remember the fact that this man was on food stamps maybe 4 years ago. Right. His transition is so amazing that I'm okay with it. But also, too, it's like, where does Conor McGregor, the human being, end, and the performer and the marketer sort of kick in? Now, I'm a believer that there's always sort of truth in the middle,
that when Conor's out there, showing his Rolls Royce off and saying, the things that he says, while it's probably himself, it probably honestly is himself, it's a trumped up, hammed up version. And
he definitely, raises it up, but that's okay.
I mean, that's the same thing. It's like you and I have conversations on here, and not that we're not disingenuous to who we are as human beings, but our off-air conversations are going to be a bit more candid. They're going to be a bit more.
That's what we do in It's Time Radio, baby.
Right. So, I mean, so getting back to my main point, if you're an MMA guy, if I buy the pay-per-view, this will be why I buy it, because I'm going to put a little coin, little cheddar on Conor, because I mean, I don't bet on fights. I feel that I can't.
Same reason I don't. It's not that we can't.
But we choose not to, because there is. I mean,
we'll talk about it, but we don't do it. It's a principle.
There's a lot of money that you and I could be making, and we choose not to for moral standards, for principles. Do you know what I mean?
Listen, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, minimum 75% plus success rate if I bet on fights.
Sure, no doubt about it. I mean, and that's not just because we're great combat
we know
minds.
The sport.
Well, also too, we know some things. We know who's had a bad weight cut. We know who got injured 6 weeks out, but decided, you know what, I'm going to go in there. I still think I can win the fight. So there are times where I see a line where it's a favorite of like minus 500, and even if they end up cashing and they win at that big favorite, I know that their MCL is torn or they have an issue here.
That's inside info,
right? And I'm not comfortable going to the betting window with that. But man, I would be lying if I didn't say sometimes I'm privy to information that it's just like, dude, if I was a lesser moral person, I'd go out there and that betting line would shift dramatically after the bet was placed.
Yeah, I mean, because you put some good cash on it. But personally, it's just a morality factor. And, again, I'm an equal opportunity announcer. I would feel like I'm doing an injustice to the great warriors that entered the UFC octagon. If I even thought for 1 second that I had money on one of those fighters.
Right.
So I just have to do what I have to do.
And that's noble of YouTubers, because, like, honestly, like, you don't announce anybody differently whether or not you think they're going to win or lose.
No.
Like, your outcome or your work has nothing to do with the outcome of the fight or how it's perceived, in my opinion.